tonight, I am getting off from work, and I'm driving home, and I have my notifications on. It's a very annoying setting because I've tried to get a hold of my brother David here before, and he has that little notifications, do not disturb while you're driving, and it comes back, hey, I'm sorry, I'm driving, you can't contact me right now, and it's very annoying, but I thought, that's actually a good idea to keep me off the phone and less distracted on the road. So I've set that on my phone, and so I'm driving home, and I get home to my house, and I get a text message from my wife that says, hey, yeah, you don't have to worry about picking up the boys. Sophie's here with me. And then the next text message says, oh, actually, could you pick up our daughter because I've got class at Teamship Taekwondo, and then I've got to finish up some work here afterwards. And so my immediate thought's like, I'm already home. I'm done. I'm getting on my pajamas, I'm getting my flannels and my Crocs, and I'm going to get comfortable here. So I've seen it, but she'll understand. Well, next thing you know, my daughter calls me from her phone. It's like, hey, Daddy, will you pick me up, please? Can you come get me? And of course, how can you say no to your 7-year-old daughter? I mean, it's nearly impossible to do that. And so I'm a little frustrated. I'm like, all right, I got to go all the way back across town to get my daughter, pick her up. And so I said, well, let me change my clothes, and I'll be there in just a moment. So I'm here driving down the road, and I'm kind of a little frustrated. I'm like, okay, I got to drive. I used to have to drive 30 miles to come back into town. Okay, we just moved in. So this 10-minute drive is really nothing compared to what I had to drive. But then I thought to myself, I was like, why am I upset about this? Why is this an issue to me at all? Why is this important? And that I'm frustrated about having to pick up my child who wants to see me, who wants to spend time with Daddy. Why is this actually important to me at all? And I got to thinking, it's not a big deal. And so some stress, and I felt relieved after it. And what I realized is we have a tendency in our lives to really elevate and make much out of trivial things. And the things that we should make much of in our life, we tend to trivialize. There's this opposite thing. So we are littered literally with things that we can be angry at and be upset about, and worry about, and be stressed about. I mean, the world is full. And I'll tell you, social media is one of those places that it's like low-hanging fruit. You can just pick things off social media to be angry about, to be stressed about, to be worried about. I mean, it's just right there in front of you. I love social media. Social media is a great tool, like we use it about Brew and things, but there's just so much that's there that we can just get ourselves worked up over nothing. And I want to ask, are we getting upset? Are we getting angry for the right reasons? I mean, you realize there's more important things that we should really be getting angry about than these little trivial things that are really distracting us from these more important things. I see a lot of eyes over here. Is that a good commercial? So we're facing what Matt had. We had the World Series when Matt was doing it. So he was like right here. Yeah, everybody's got their eyes right on me tonight. So he was fighting with the World Series last time, but that's okay.
You was fighting with KFC.
I was fighting with KFC. That's tough. Yeah, I don't know. But I got some scriptures here that talk a little bit about anger. Okay, Proverbs 29:11. It says, "Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise they bring calm in the end." So have you ever noticed if you get in an argument with a friend or somebody on the other side of the political spectrum, or maybe even your spouse, there's like a cyclical pattern that happens. You get angry, you speak up, you say something, the other person gets offended, gets angry, starts raising their voice, right? I mean, it doesn't happen to anybody here, right? I'm sure. We've all got it together. Right. So it even came to the point one time when my son called my wife and I out. He's like, guys, he's like, y'all aren't even listening to each other. Y'all are just trying to make your point, right? I mean, that's what happens. when one person gets angry, it's a cyclical pattern. It goes on and on. But it says, but the wise bring calm in the end. Ecclesiastes 7:9 says, do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. James 1:19-20 says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So there's a show called, I don't know if you know Vsauce on YouTube, or Minefield is a spinoff of Vsauce. It's just like questions you wouldn't ask. Is the world really flat? You know, why is the world not really flat? Or just, you know, how tall can you make a building into space? You know, just questions you would think about at night, you know, when you're sitting pondering life, right? And so they answer these questions, and they have a spinoff on YouTube Red, and I took the free week to watch all these videos of season 1, and they had a study with a group of people, where they took this group of people and put one in individual rooms. And they read this person's biography and what they felt about this or that on politics, or how do you feel about white people, black people, this, or what do you think they... And these were made up scenarios, but these people were getting very upset at this person in this next room. They're like, are you kidding me? They believe what? These guys are idiots, right? And so they build up this animosity toward this person that they have not even met. And so then they take them into this room. They take a select few, put them in this room where there's nothing but faces in this room and just breakable items. And they say, here's a baseball bat, here's your helmet, here's your protective gear. Now, you just go all out. Just release your anger. Whatever you got, just release all your frustration. And they're hammering and swinging away and all these things. Just making all kinds of grunting noises, you know, taking you back to the caveman days. And so, and those women could grunt too. I was pretty impressed in that video. And then they took another select group, and they sat them in a quiet room. And they just sat there for about 5 to 10 minutes, not having anything to do. And so then, their next job was, once they broke everything that they wanted to break, once they sat there for their 10-minute span time, just alone by themselves with their thoughts, they took them in this other room where they had to, they were connected to this machine that emits an electric shock. And so the idea was, here, the other person was in this other room, and they would, when this light comes on, your goal was to hit the shock before they did. And so you wanted to be quicker. So the people who were in the room and released their anger and swung it and broke all this stuff, they were more, they had a tendency to want to hit that button and hit it multiple times. Sometimes they're like, yeah, get that tool, shock that bastard, you know? And so, but the other people who had time to their thoughts and alone, and they thought things out, they were and had a moment of just pensiveness, they were a little more reluctant to even press that button. And so it just kind of showed that you can feed your rage, you can feed your anger, and you can feed off of those things. But when you have time to think about it and ponder and calm down, you're less likely to lash out in anger. Okay, it was a very interesting study. The rest of that verse says, my brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Let's see. There are several scenarios in this, things that we concern ourselves over that we really shouldn't concern ourselves over. We're just putting more stress in our own lives. One scenario is in Philippians 1:15-18. Paul is in prison, okay? And it said, and some people had notified Paul. They're like, hey, these guys are out preaching the gospel. You're in prison, so they're taking advantage of preaching the gospel here, and they're kind of loving this idea of not you being in their way to do this. They said, it is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others do out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am here for the defense of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I am in chains. But what does that matter? So the important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. Right? I mean, there's this, it's like, Paul's not saying that we shouldn't be concerned with our own motives, right? I mean, we should, in every way, we should test our own heart. I mean, there's countless scriptures where we ask God to test our heart, see if there's any wicked way in us. Matter of fact, in the Psalms, or it's the Proverbs, let's see, it says, we should check our own motives and desires. And David is saying in the Psalms, "Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God. Depart from me, therefore, men of bloodshed. For they speak against you wickedly, and your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with an utmost hatred." That's being pretty honest, right? This is the Bible. This guy's like, I really hate these people. I hate them with the utmost hatred. They have become my enemies. But then it's like he has this moment of pause. He has this moment where he's like, okay, you know what? Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there's any hurtful way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. It's like, okay, we all have those moments where like, these people are driving me crazy. This is driving me nuts. That person cut me off, flipped me off, and I want to get back in front of him, do the same thing. I mean, these things that we take in our own head, but if we pause and say, okay, you know what? God, search my heart. Take that moment to pause. So we should all search our own hearts. But this is not really what Paul's talking about here. Paul is just saying, hey, why should I be concerned with these people? Yeah, they're preaching the gospel with wrong motives, right? Just think about Pastor Mark Hewitt from Love and Care Ministries. They do the Mission Thanksgiving every year. They do all kinds of great things for the homeless, right? What if we all knew that he is doing this for the accolades, doing this for, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing for other people, right? Is he not still helping the homeless? Why should that concern me so much? Like, you know what? I don't care if he's doing it for the wrong reasons. If he's doing it just to get notoriety, he's still helping the homeless. That shouldn't bother us. And that's just saying we need to take that weight off of us. And when we're concerned about what somebody else is doing, or we're concerned about why we feel we've been wrong, it's taking our focus off of more important matters, right? And with all the verses that say, hey, don't get angry, not all anger is bad, right? There is a thing called righteous anger. Ephesians 4:26 says, in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down. Do not let the sun set upon your anger, and do not give the devil a foothold. So right there, you say, in your anger, we're going to get angry sometimes. Don't sin, right? What do you think righteous anger would produce in you? What are some things that you think are legitimately good, okay to get angry about? Just throw something out. What do you think?
Abortion.
Okay. What's that?
It motivates change because if we're frustrated and want things to be different, we're more likely to act upon it.
Right.
Because God purposely will irritate us until we're like, I can't do this anymore, and He pushes us in the direction.
That's right. That's great. And you just stepped all over my toes in my sermon here. So thank you for that. You're not welcome back. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's absolutely right. What does righteous anger do? It motivates us to action, right? And hopefully compassion, right? I mean, there's so much injustice out in the world. There's so many things that are taking place in the world that should legitimately anger us, right? And hopefully it's towards compassion to want to help out in those ways as well. And that's what the fruit of righteous anger will bring. So yes, that is a great point. One of the things we can get angry at the church. I mean, there's a lot of people that are angry at the church, believers and unbelievers, right? That look upon the church. It is okay to get angry at the church, what the church is doing or not doing, right? But one thing we need to be careful of is we can just add to the noise, right? We're just pointing our fingers saying, this is wrong, should not be doing it that way, but not offer any solutions, right? Not be a part of that conversation with the church and what they're doing. We can be angry that the church doesn't do enough to follow Jesus' command to feed the poor, help the needy, heal the sick, right? But if he doesn't move us to create a solution, we're just adding to the noise. One thing I love that my church is doing, I'm not really a big recruiter on my church. I want y'all to get plugged in wherever you can. We have people from different denominations here represented in this group, and I love that. But one thing my church is doing this year that was an inconvenience to a lot of the congregation, us included. They are doing a new ministry, and they're really focusing on going out this next year. And they're focusing on interest groups outside of our church and putting money and dedicating time and volunteering and doing things and helping other missions outside of our church. And one of the things what that meant was they are kind of closing some areas with our youth. They're saying, hey, we're going to step back in some of these areas here and these programs that we're doing within the church, right? And so us as concerned families, like, what are we going to do about our kids now? They're not, and I think, and we're frustrated. I think part of that is because we feel that we're probably doing a bad job of raising our kids well enough anyways, and we want to rely on the church to do it for us. There are times where, like, I'm a horrible dad. I just snapped at my little girl, my boy, and so we think we want the church to kind of fill in that slack. It's really our jobs to raise our kids that way. But our church is really focusing outside of just what we can do here in our building and reaching out. So yes, I've got to look at that and say, okay, think outside of myself and my convenience, and look at what we're doing for other people out there. Because this is what the world's looking at, right? This is a lot of people who aren't believers are sitting here and they're judging. Hey, you guys are pouring into your worship ministry and putting lights in your building and everything, but what about these needs that are not being met out here, right? And so I'm proud that they're taking those steps to do that, even though it's inconveniencing my family a little bit, right?
Tate, when you're looking for that, one of the things that I had an issue with before, not with church, but we had a time where the kids we were broke, and we had to say, okay, can we do this? We can't afford that, so that means we're going to have to step it up. And it was a hard choice, like us having to step it up with the kids versus allowing someone else to take care of it. It kind of sucked having to look in the mirror and say, because I'm not willing to step it up, we're going to pay somebody else to take care of this situation. And it was like with schooling and different things, because we felt we were too busy. So I feel your pain on that.
Right.
And it's real. It kind of sucks whenever you have to look at it like, this isn't happening like I thought it would.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely shakes things up a little bit. In closing, really what it all boils down to, and one more verse about worry. And it goes along with anger and things that we stress about. But it says, Matthew 6:27, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? What does it do for you? What does worrying do for you? What does stressing about anything do for you? What is getting angry about trivial things? What does that really do for you? Does it add any extra life to you? It really takes away from you. I mean, the science says it takes, stress can reduce your lifespan greatly. It says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Right? There's so much to be angry about. We see it a lot. Former youth leader who took on another church, he said something on Twitter, and I retweeted it. I was going to use it tonight. But he said, why are we so concerned? I think Jesus would be more concerned that we're loving the people who say happy holidays rather than being overly concerned that they're not saying Merry Christmas. Right? I mean, it's just little things that we're upset about. Or Starbucks not putting Christmas pictures, just having red cups, and it's infuriating people. Apparently, I mean, why? Kaepernick standing, kneeling. It's a big deal with people. Now, I'm going to stand. I choose to stand. Okay, I'm going to keep Merry Christmas. I'm going to always keep Christ from Christmas. But I'm not going to judge somebody else for not. I'm not going to impose my Christian standards on somebody else who may not necessarily believe what I do. And I think it's important that we really pick our battles wisely. We love those people. Okay? Basically, the person who had the most persecution, who was unjustly crucified, Jesus Christ, what if we took on the same attitude that Jesus had while he was hanging there on the cross for something he didn't even commit, for crimes he didn't really commit? Jesus was unjustly crucified. Of course, we know the purpose why he was there. But Jesus, of all people, should have been angry. But what did Jesus say? Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. What if we took on that same attitude? There's a world out there that's watching us that are unbelievers. They may or may not know what they're doing. And we want to impose our standard and our authoritarian views upon them for standards that they may not, they may not have, right? And our first attitude should be love. We should come with a heart of love in everything we do. And so that's my desire for each of us, that we would really look at the attitude that Jesus had. Lord, forgive them. Lord, teach me to love these people. Teach me to love my Christian brethren and sisters. I mean, sometimes that's the hardest thing to do is love your own brothers and sisters, right? So that is my prayer, and that's kind of my message tonight that I threw together this evening. One way that you guys can be a part of something outside of yourselves and outside of Bible and Brew. This book over here that Mary's got. Amy, I'm sorry. Amy Jo Bramlett. Yes, there you go. I'm selling these books. I'm selling up to 5. I've got 10 books, but I'm selling up to 5. And $100 is going to go to the Diaz family. The Diaz family, the husband was injured, was out of work for a while, and he just got back into working. So I made it my mission to help this family have a good Christmas. So $100, I've got $50 from, so I've got about $150 here that is going to go towards this family having a good Christmas. They've got 2 children, a daughter, a son, 6 and 8 years old. Matt Smith is going to go shopping with me on Saturday for this family. He's going to bring his kids along to help us pick some gifts for them. We could qualify people all day long and say, well, they got this, and this, but they don't. You're saying that they need X, Y, and Z. Well, we're not doing that. Really, we're saying, hey, we want to be a blessing to this family, and that's really our motive, is just be a blessing. So if you would like to donate to that, please don't feel obligated to. I'm throwing this on you, but if you'd like to donate towards that, you can either give some money to Matt or myself to donate towards that to help this family have a good Christmas this year. So thank you guys for being a part here tonight. They are going to have karaoke up here tonight. I think they're going to set it up around 9:30, so feel free to stick around. This room will fill up here later with, I don't even know what you call them, if they're like karaokers or, there's got to be a name for these people that just follow.
Hey, can we talk about our tables for a little bit about
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah. So yeah, y'all mingle, and if there's any distractions, anything in your life that you're thinking, man, I could use some help in this area. Let's talk about that, and let's communicate those with one another, pray for each other, and that's what we're here about. We're here to encourage one another, find ways to spur one another on towards good deeds, and so I'll leave it to you guys. Anybody want to close us out in prayer? Our waiter right here will close us out in prayer. That's okay. I'll close this out. Heavenly Father, go ahead.
All right, Lord, thank you for this day, for us being together. Thank you for Tate and what he had to say for us. Lord, we love